Good evening, one and all. Good evening, and welcome to Waterhouse Vibes. I am Michael Nita, your host, and with me, a co-host, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan, former FBI agent and attorney at law, Mr. Wesley Harris, a developer out of Kingston, Jamaica, and Mr. Las Crawford, a brother man based in Toronto, who we invite him to join. If you want to find out when we are on here, the best way to do that is by subscribing to our channel, Waterhouse Vibes. We try and send things out to subscribers, alerting you as to what's happening. So I'm asking and also suggesting that you like, subscribe, and share this platform. Okay? Well. Another dreadful week in the life of the Jamaican people. Or is it 2 weeks? Some weird shits are happening in that nation state. And I'm not sure what's happening, but we see some incident and it worries us. One is the 8-year-old youth. Them cut a throat of an 8-year-old child. Can you imagine that in Jamaica? Then the incident of the major, JDF major. They kill him, shot in the head. And the incident in Greenwich Farm, where a man just went in, asked for someone, once they identified them just did what they were either paid to do or what have you. We don't know, but these are some weird stuff. Gentlemen, today is Father's Day. And in terms of what's happening in Jamaica, I probably can conclude, and you guys might agree with me, but I'm of the view that us men fuck up Jamaica. When you look around and see what's happening, most of the crimes are carried out by men. Well, let's say in the incident with this 8-year-old youth, they are looking for a woman because they saw there's some video somewhere that tied the woman to this incident. But in the main, it's really men who fuck up the place. Kill off each other. Them might fire gun, and we're open to raise healthy kids in that sort of environment. Is that possible? Is that really possible? I think that's a question every parent is asking right now. They should stay in Jamaica and raise them kids, or them leave, go overseas and leave them, raise them kids. I'm not sure what the answer is. I know personally I have a lot of questions, given what is happening in the community. And I'm just going to open up. Any one of the brethren them can take it from here, How you feel about the situation, especially with this youngster?
I'll start off, Mikey. You see, once in a time, you used to have situations where you used to have absentee fathers, used to have criminal activities going on in the communities. And yes, that question you ask, can we still grow healthy and well-thinking children in this situation? Back then, with all the breakdowns that used to happen, we grew up in that kind of environment, and a lot of us came out without falling prey to all of the stumbling blocks in our communities and whatever else. I think the reason back then was that a lot of the community organizations were still in place. As we had a discussion with Wesley earlier, and Wesley spoke about the youth clubs There were vibrant youth club systems operating right across Kingston, right across Jamaica, right? Even where there were no youth clubs, there were church programs, there were many different organizations still holding up a certain pillar in the community where youths, even though they may have come from a broken family or they may have been experiencing poverty. I remember growing up in a Kingston 11 back then, St. Patrick's Church was a pillar, right, in helping families to just to survive in these communities. I don't know that now the situation is the same. It seems as if most of these organizations that could give support to the family and to the wayward youths growing up, they seem to be non-existent, and partly we can blame the government, right? But it's not just the government to blame. Some of the other community service organizations, I don't know what the reason for some of them just to be almost defunct and not operational.
I want to introduce Patrick McCarthy. He just joined the conversation. Patrick is a long time stalwart. Yeah, and I think he's familiar with some of us or whatever. But brother Patrick, welcome. Continue,
Yes,
last.
Michael, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's my introduction.
Radigan, Wesley.
Today is Father's Day, and I
Happy
assume that
Father's Day to everyone, man. Happy
today
Father's
is
Day.
Father's Day, and I assume that all of us here are fathers of one or more child, many children. I just want to tell each and every one of us that is in our round table today, happy Father's Day, because we need that. We need to big up ourselves. Those of us who are strong fathers, good fathers. Remember that as fathers, we were carrying the role of fathers, not just when we start having children. But remember, we were in the youth club, in the organization, on the street corner, and we were protecting the young ones, and we were playing that role, right, as fathers and big brothers and so forth. So it is very good to know that today people are celebrating Father's Day more than what it was a couple of years ago. Right? The history of Father's Day came about in 1908 when a mine in Virginia got in problem and explode, and 300 miners died. And the women at that time, wives and sisters and cousins and aunties and those things came together to set up the Father's Day movement to honor those men. And 1910 after, it became more established to celebrate fathers. So I want to celebrate father. I know I am a father. I know I play my part as a father. And I will continue to play my part as a father in the society and in the society that I live in, to help to bring the youth in the society, young women, young men, to understand the role of manhood. And that is important. Right? So we need to know that people needs. There's a survey came out last week, about father, because they are saying that fathers are missing, right, in Jamaica. But fathers, some are missing, some are not, right? Some don't take up their responsibility because they are afraid of taking up responsibility. Some take it up, some don't take it up because they say that the child is not theirs. We know the survey what it say about um, child and fatherless child because of what happened in terms of women and their carry on with some things, right? It is saying that 37% of male children in the inner city community don't have fathers. Because why? Not because they are the fathers are not there, but because the men die, either through gun violence, either through knife, either through the state, or through bad man. So we have to remember that. So we have to take up the slot for those person that those 37 that is absent and the absentee fathers. So fathers have to play a role, and all of us need to speak on that. In this program, I think we need to emphasize constantly that fathers need to come in and play a role. So that is where I am on that for now.
Patrick Radigan.
All right. Patrick look like he married something, man. So, Patrick married. No, regarding, first of all, happy Father's Day to everyone. But I question the word father, and I'll tell you why. Because anybody can be a father. I think it should be like Daddy Day, because you have a lot of children who growing up fatherless, but they have a daddy. You ever hear about the mother who fathered me, right? And so what we find is, like, especially in the inner city community, and when I was growing up, you have a lot of father. They're basically like sperm donors. And I know some of your your viewing audience right now, at least I know of one person who would agree with me. A female would agree with me that some of them men are like sperm donors. Them come in, them have relations with the women get pregnant, and then you don't hear from them again, or hear from them once in a while. And that woman has to be the mother and the father for that child. But not only that, the community has a role to play. I mean, when I was growing up, you have a whole heap of what you call stray picnic, right? But your neighbor would have look out for your children or another family member. Them days is like bygone days now. The society has gone to the point now where, I mean, you reach a certain age and stage, and you consider that a grown person, because the respect, the dignity, all those things have fallen by the wayside. So I would have liked to big up all of the daddies, them, not just the father, but the daddies, the people who stay around and ensure that the children them get all the necessary ingredients to grow up to be productive members of society. The daddies, them who struggle. And when I say daddies, I'm not referring just to the male. I'm not referring only to males. I'm also referring to women who act like fathers or daddies. So we have to also include the community. Community play a great role, and I think it was last who mentioned St. Patrick's, the school that was like a headquarters for children. We used to just go there and hang out and play football and talk about the various organizations. We have to big up them organizations too, because as them say, take a village to raise a child. And the idea that we can just big up one person who might not even be there in the child's life, I have an issue with that. I would have liked to see them call it Daddy Day. And Daddy Day, it don't have no sex attached to it. It could be a community, it could be a woman, right? And I say that from a personal perspective, in the sense that I have children that I'm a father, but I'm not a daddy, because I wasn't there in their lives. And so their mothers had to play my role, good or bad. You know, they had to play my role, and for that, I express some kind of regret because right now I grew up two soldiers right now, and I can see the stamp when me I put upon them. You know, you carry them to school, you pick them up, you teach them things, you instill values in them, right? And I know that they're getting it. Whereas before, I don't know if they might get it or not, because you were just basically just a ATM machine. You just send money and say, you know, you call up on special days, but you're not really involved in the development of the child. And that's what we really need to focus on, the development of the children. Who is involved? And it don't necessarily have to be a father. It could be anybody. And like when me I grow up, even Kingston 13, it's like everybody older than me and my father. Everybody older than me and my father because everybody a look out for you. Everybody a look out for you. Them days gone. We need to bring them days back. How we do it? That's a challenge.
Patrick, you want to say something on this topic?
Yes, definitely. I came into the discussion a little bit late, so I kind of missed the first part, but I get the gist of it in terms of, what's being discussed. It's our take on fatherhood, and this is a real vital subject because it is one which touch all of us, everyone. There's no exception, right? Whether you have fathered a child or you have not fathered a child, it's a subject that's important to us, right? And I just want to take a piece out of what Ratty just said in terms of father and the community, is that being a father, the responsibility of being a father is not just a responsibility to your immediate children or your immediate child, but is a community responsibility as well. It's a national responsibility as well. I have always been of the opinion since I was pretty young, right? Because I started fatherhood when I was still pretty young. And that opinion is that you haven't really loved your child until you love all children, right? That is part of my own philosophy, right? In order to really understand the love that I have for my child, I have to have that love for all children, and that is something which I still hold to this day, right? As a foundation, as a part of the foundation of my fatherly principles. But just to say a little more on the aspect of fatherhood, right, is that as much as the father holds a responsibility to his children and his community and his country, likewise, the country holds a responsibility to the father, right? The community holds a responsibility to the father, because we all share a legacy, right? And it's a legacy that is a real ugly one, that has really taken us as a people. And the main thing that it has done to us in terms of this legacy is that it has destroyed family life, right? If we look into our deepest history, we know that family is a fundamental principle, right, of life, right? If we go all the way back to the continent in terms of how we lived before all of this, right? That's what the founding principle was, right? The father takes on a responsibility in his family first, and it's families that make up communities, and then communities that make up countries. So when we think of Father's Day, I want us to really think in terms of what are really our foundational fatherhood responsibilities, right? And how do we really carry out these responsibilities? All right, I'll just hold it at that for now.
Well, I want to say that there's some things said here that I agree with, and some things I do not agree with. And I say that because we live in a society that castrates men, black men. You know, they try and program you a certain way. You're supposed to behave a certain way, and whenever time you step out of that, you're either sent to prison or what have you. Right? I grew up in a community. In fact, I know one man who had like 6 different baby mothers stretching from Riverton City up to Samarkand. You know, and he apparently he was doing well. All his kids, them love him and what have you. You know, and that sort of behavior was celebrated because well, a man they have a whoop pitney and what have you.
Real man.
Yeah. You understand me? So I think in terms of discussing this topic, we have to look, and I agree with Patrick, we have to look at the historical stuff. How the society treat black men, the Jamaican society, how it treat black men. You know? And if you come from below halfway tree, you're treated a certain way. Above halfway tree, listen, my dad, in all his time on this earth, right, main focus was to train me so that I can look like his friends and his associates. I can reflect their values, not who I am. Because why? Him come from a certain family background and certain things he want to maintain and what have you. You know, and the restriction on your freedom as a male in a Jamaican society is something that we don't talk about. We don't talk about in terms of the expectation of what when we say a father, what is it we expect of the father? What exactly do we expect of the father? And with that question, well, think about that. Take it further. Look at the Jamaican society and the role of men in the Jamaican society. As I I said again, us men fuck up Jamaica. Excuse me, French. And that's something is you can ask any woman. They'll say, "God, man, them fuck it up." You know, I'm at the point now where I think we need some form of organization. National organization. I know Barry Chevan started something, Fathers Inc. It was reaching out to, and I'm not sure where that is now, if it's still active or what have you. But us men need help. A lot of men in the Jamaican society need help. Them just don't know. They get a kid, get a woman pregnant, but after that, them just don't know nothing. Them don't know nothing. You know, I think it's a serious. Fatherhood in Jamaica is a challenge. It's a challenge if you lack the resource. Don't you agree?
You're saying that fatherhood in Jamaica is a challenge because
if you lack the resource, certain resource.
Because they lack the resources.
Yeah.
But
I know,
but Mikey, you remember, Mikey, that I don't, yes, you lack the resources. But I remember growing up, I never rich. I grew up in a community that I never see my father in my house one day yet. Right? And I have never been to jail. And I have never grab a handbag. I have never do 99% of the things that people do. Right?
True.
Because what
you have someone, brethren, you have someone, as him say, he have to go look at food for him having picnic for mine. I have to go look at food. I know of brethren where get killed and look food out there because I'm saying I'm having kids, I'm now make them suffer. You know, that's the reality.
See, when me think, Mikey, the role of father, it's there's two things to it.
Lads,
You have,
you sound low, lads. You can come in a bit. I don't know
Step
if your
back.
mic on.
Yeah.
you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Go
hear you a
ahead.
bit better.
You sure it's not because I'm hoarse?
Oh,
No,
maybe.
man. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Okay. I'm saying the fatherhood, there's two aspects to fatherhood that I see. I see one in terms of personal responsibility, and I see the next role in terms of support from the community and from government or whatever agencies to help fathers to actually carry out them responsibilities. In terms of personal responsibility, it take the father taking responsibility of himself at the situation that him find himself in. Him is a father, he need to man up and take care of him youth, live up to whatever responsibilities that having a youth or bringing up a child entails. But on the other side, I think the society itself put some strain, at least in the Jamaican context, where women in our society conditioned to see men in a certain way,
Of course.
right? And that way in which them see men put additional strain on the man, right? Because the man, regardless of his circumstances, him supposed to find the school
Provide.
fee. Him is the
Yep.
provider,
Yep.
right? And regardless of his circumstances, he must be that provider. And if he is not the provider that him supposed to be, him worthless.
Of course.
You understand? That put a psychological strain, in my view, on the man. And some man under that strain cap out. Some man just cap out, just say, boy, me can't take this, Tomorrow him disappear. You understand? Because one, there's no social support to help him carry out his role as a father. Okay, what happens when a father in Jamaica is not working and he's expected to provide for his family? Where can he go to seek help? Are there institutions
Him
inside the
look at
country?
food. Him look at food.
But are there institutions in the society that can give him the help, go look the food the way that we know most of the man them go look the food? You understand? Is there that kind of support built in the system, right? We're going to show any kind of sympathy towards the man who can provide for him kids, right? Most of us grow up with youth and youth in our communities where, some of them irresponsible and them have more youth than them can support, but some of them willing to work and to do other things than go out the road, go step. But where should they turn? Who is pointing them to these organizations? And where are these organizations?
Yeah, the only thing right now them offer male in Jamaica is prison. That's the only thing right now, It seems as if there's a campaign, them just want to send the bridging them a prison, the youth them a prison. And they're not putting in the sort of thing that you have in mind in the institution. You understand me? They're not do that. So you have more youth and youth end up a prison. Yeah. Let me hear the others bridging them now. Where they add them think.
One other question before anybody else speak. I realize the discussion is saying that economics, yes, we need to have fathers who can ensure that food put on the table. But it's just that role that father is supposed to play in terms of just providing economically for their family. Is it that fathers should also be there in terms of supporting his children, the son, the daughter, in terms of their education, in terms of helping them in their homework, in terms of talking to them through problems, in terms of looking at the social and the other problems that comes up while they are growing? Or it's just that fathers should be just fathers for economical purpose? We need to explore that.
It's not just about economics, Wesley. And the institutions that I'm talking about that are absent are not just economic institutions. We are talking about social services that can provide counseling to a father who have got through certain situations when him can provide for him youth, right? We are talking about agencies to help the father find a job, agencies we can link the father, to any kind of service that can help him to be a better father. It's not just economic issues that the society can support the father with. A lot of the issues that cause fathers to be absent are not just economic. Some of them is social pressure where the father come under and him just can't deal with it, but him not have nobody to turn to, because in our society, a lot of the women program to say if he's not a provider in terms of economics, you're a worthless father, right? And you're not functioning, right? So some of these services are services to the father, also to the women, to help them to understand fatherhood, understand the role of the father, right? And understand how they as women can help to build a better, a more vibrant family unit, right? So a lot of the things is not just economic, but the economics is a big, big problem when inside of Jamaica, because a lot of the young men, I think between teenage and 20s and 30s, they're on the streets, them not working. Or if them even working, them the kind of jobs that they have is not a secure form of employment, right? So they're providing today for them kids, they can't provide tomorrow, right? It affects how the kids go to school and how the kids develop. So there's lots of service-oriented programs that needs to be thought about to help fathers to carry out them role in a better way.
Any additional remarks?
Let me just add a piece to it. Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember them used to say that girl picnic bring home them problem, and boy picnic left them straight. Now,
Yeah, I remember
one of the
that.
things, one of the things we have to keep in mind when we talk about fathers, Jamaica's a young society, right? And so a
True.
lot of the fathers, they're young. And the question
True.
is, how I'm trying to look at how do you address the problem before it becomes a problem? Meaning, how do you convince a young person, a teenager, 17, 18, 19, to delay fatherhood, or a young girl to delay motherhood? How do you do that? Because if you look at how the society is, how it's arranged, uptown, you really don't see the kind of problems with fathers as you would say downtown. You don't see, at least when I was growing up, I didn't see like a man uptown have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 baby mother, even though they could afford it. But I used to see downtown, which part them couldn't afford it, right? And so the question I used to ask myself is, what are we teaching them by observation and by philosophy of life? Do we actually sit down in the ghetto with our children and say, listen, education is key, decency is key, ethics key, all of these things. And so we're going to try and channel you in that direction, because having a child before you can afford to have a child is going to be a problem. And I remember one time a man said to me, said, if you have to wait till you say, okay, I have enough resources that I can take care of picnic, you won't have none. Right. I'm saying, you won't have none. I remember my man telling me that one time. People just come. But the question is, how do you teach a young person to be responsible and delay fatherhood? And then if that doesn't work, how do you teach somebody who's 18 years old, right, or 17 years old, still in school, and get a girl pregnant? How do you teach that person to be responsible? Them don't know nothing about life yet. Them still a search them way through. And then keep in mind that a lot of the men, young men between like, because I know people in Jamaica who have kids and I'm 15, 15, 16, 17, 18. How do you teach somebody like that to be a father? Because remember now, you are to some degree a product of your environment. And this is where I say all around him, a man have 5, 6 women and them go up on the corner and them talk and say, yeah, man have 6, man may breathe, How do you curtail that? How do you stop that and say, no, brethren, that's not
education.
Yeah, but how do you provide that education? Is it in the schools? Is it in the churches? Is it in the community? Because the community will do it. And that's why I say, what do you teach your children by observation or by philosophy? When you talk to them, what do you say to them? When they look around you, what do they see? Because you can tell him that, you can tell a young man that, but he must spend most of time not with you, with him friends. And that, so what you are telling him is counteracted by what him actually I see. And what him I tell him. How do you deal with that kind of behavior? And what role should government play in that situation? Should government step in now and provide, I remember Ernest Smith did do a song about delaying fatherhood. I don't remember the name of the song. But he was talking about that, you need to think about your future before you start getting involved and having these babies, because you're not ready. And that is it. How do you teach them to become ready to become parents, good, solid parents that can provide a foundation for the children? I don't know how you're going to do that, because some people might say it's a government responsibility, but the government, you can't say the government is irresponsible in doing other things. So this is not even a priority for the government. So this is going to fall back right on the community and the organizations within the community and parents. And if we start with the premise that most of these young men, they don't have 2 parents in the home. They have one, and then they have their friends. I don't. And then the other thing is, they said, mother's baby, father's maybe. So, the jacket syndrome is another one again in Jamaica, where a man just said, "Boy, that picture doesn't look like you, and and that's it. Him just say, "Well, that probably don't look like me."
I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. And then how
Yeah,
you deal
man.
with that?
You see, Radigan, you raise up important issue, about the contradiction in terms of what we need to be teaching our young men and what the society is teaching them. It's the same thing with the criminal, some aspects of the criminal activity.
I agree.
You, as a parent, teaching your youth that, boy, don't take up the gun. It's counterproductive. It's not a good life. You're going dead soon. And people not going to like you, love you in society. While when him go up on the corner, him are the big Dan. Him is the man on the corner. Him is the man with the influence. Him is the man who have the respect. Right? So it's a counter thing happening in our society. The same thing with fatherhood. You tell a youth, say, boy, delay fatherhood, because if you delay fatherhood, probably you can make something better of your life, because you can get a couple little things in place before you are a father. But when you go up on the corner, as you say, a man a both say, boy, say a 6 my gone, brethren. and you know start nothing yet. What? Something wrong with you?
Lamp.
That's
Rubber
true.
lamp.
That that is
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
yeah, button, you not score, and you know, it put a certain.
According to Ninja Man, he has 23 kids and 22 baby mother. The journalist asked
So
him, so much? He said, because I score every runs.
you know, so it's like while we saying there's a responsibility to teach the youths certain attitudes, there's a counter culture outside of what we want to teach them. That is saying this other side is the better side, and it's better to
So
be on
last,
that side. Yeah.
But
last.
if I
Why is
can
it
just
that
jump in.
when we were growing up, because we are gonna always go back to us, because we have to use ourselves as the
Mm-hmm.
example.
Yes.
That counter force wasn't there to split us and lead us into a life of crime.
It was always there.
Mm-hmm.
It was always there when we growing
But
up,
why
you know.
we didn't?
And no. It was always there. Some of us fall to it at varying degrees, right? Most of us never totally escape it, you know. We fall to it to varying degrees. And some of us able, when we become adults or close to adulthood, pull ourselves back. But it was always there. But what's missing now that that is that there are more responsible adults around us, and more caring adults. Even some of the man them who weren't much older than us, the attitude was different from now, because them see us as a little brother, and even some man fire gonna go tell us, boy, you know, so the road there, don't you know, if you do that, and if you go to school, and you see me deal it. No, all of that is absent in the communities. You know, have no caring, right, from the elder youth. Them are from, you know, most of the older youths, most of the older people are no longer there. You know,
If I
so
can just jump in at this point and throw in my 2 cents worth. I think that we can all agree that however we deal with life is gonna be based on what we think we know. And when I say that, I mean what we think we might have learned, or how we think it should be. And this comes primarily from the course that we might have taken in life. Using myself as an example, I grew up in what I would simply describe as an ideal situation. Right? I had both my parents. I greatly admired my parents because I see them navigate this life like, them did wealthy. It's only when I was much older, became an adult, a full adult, that I understand that it never have a thing to do with money in terms of how they handle the whole life situation. Yet, I never know what it was to want for anything, right? And my style was that I so admired my parents that my thing was that when I grew up, I want to have a family and, operate just like how I see my parents operate. Fatherhood is not a single role. Fatherhood comes with responsibility, which involves the mother as well, right? It's not just one parent that is responsible for a child, but two parents actually, right? What we have come to see is commonplace in our society is single parenthood. We see more of that than we do see households with two parents. And then even in some households with two parents, right? Many times they end up in divorce or they end up in separation for whatever reasons. So it's not a straight path where you know the fact that you have two parents, it means that guaranteed you're gonna have a perfect situation and you're gonna produce good children. You know, them have the saying, you know, good parents can produce bad children, and bad parents can produce good children. Because it is not a simple dynamic. It is a real complicated one. And as I mentioned before, the society has a responsibility as well, a real big responsibility to us. In as much as we have a responsibility to our society has a responsibility to us. Without a proper education system, what kind of fathers are you training? Right? What can we expect of our children? Right? Without being the kind of father and our mother, for that matter, right? What can we expect of our children, our boys, our girls, right? All of these things have an impact. The kind of community we live in, right? If that community is not a cohesive one which really shoulders the responsibility of a community, right, to its citizens, right? What can we expect? There's the economic aspect, but there's also the sociological aspect as well, right? Because without the right amenities, right? You look at a government, any government budget, and you will see that the bulk of the budget don't have anything to do with social responsibilities, right? These are for particular reasons, and this is why I said that there's a very strong aspect to this whole thing in terms of the legacy we carry, because we're coming off a colonial legacy, which one of its main thing was to destroy families, right?
Exactly.
So to Ratty's point, we're talking about a young population, right? A young country, really, right? Because we're really only supposed to have started the nation building since 1962, since independence. And we're still not there yet, right? Because we never even got a constitution that spoke to us, spoke to our needs, spoke to what our role is and our responsibilities and all of that. So to the ordinary young person out there, if you was to ask him, what is it? How do you see a father? How do you see a person taking on the role of a father? What should that be? Right? He would hardly have an answer for you. Because it's something he has probably never been taught. It's something he has never even given thought to. Right? Beyond, the biological aspect. Right? You have an interaction with a female, right? And the result is, you produce another child, right? But that's as far as it goes, or if you use the term as Michael said, with was it Ninja Man, when him say him have 23 him score 23 times or whatever.
22.
Yeah,
Score
but
22.
it's really a matter of, this is more than just simply talking about being a sperm donor, right? Or simply a matter of bearing a child. It comes with a whole lot more. It comes with a whole lot beyond that.
It definitely does, because when the media in Jamaica, the media house in Jamaica, talk about father and they highlight father, just look who you see the highlight. It must be someone, it's always someone light complexion and close up from uptown. You don't see any profile on the fathers from Jonestown. You hardly see that. So the society has a lot to do with how we mold and train young men into becoming better fathers. We have to have a society that encourages it. And right now, our Jamaican society does not. As far as me concerned, they want to put all of them, kill out all of the youth, they want to send them to prison. And it's brutality. When what the youth them need right now and fathers, it's training. They need training and they need access to services. You understand me? And that now take place. Most of the money are going out of the country, going into the security budget. And yet still the people insecure. You understand me? So I I don't know how far we can go on this topic. Any question? Any additional comments? If not, then we can turn to what I call some weird things happening in Jamaica. Ready, gone. With your FBI experience and these cases in Jamaica, the killing of the major, the killing of the woman in Greenwich Farm, and this 8-year-old kid, them cut the young youth short. From your background, how should the Jamaican police and different approach this sort of thing? Because Jamaican people have a thing where them say, if you know go so, it closer that way there, and something must in a something. Because a lot of people are saying that this the killing of these kids is as a result of something, and she became the sacrifice.
Reprisal.
Yeah, something. So how do you, an FBI man, now advise the Jamaican police for really deal with what seems to be a more brutal way of probably resolving problem? I'm not sure.
Well, forget about the FBI piece. Just as an observer, right?
Yeah.
As an observer, the JCF doesn't have effective leadership, right? Because instead of addressing the problem from a proactive or a predictive, and that's asking too much for them right now to do predictive policing. But proactive is not asking too much. They're still in the reactive mode. Instead of dealing with it on a proactive level, what they'll come out and they'll say is that, oh, somebody, it's gang violence, it's this, and they'll tell you what it is, but they won't tell you what they will do to prevent it from happening, because they're still in a reactive mode. And to some degree, I'm almost convinced that they don't care. They figure that, hey, if it's below half a tree and they're killing each other, then fine. They're savages anyway. Let them just kill each other rather than we get into the middle of it. We'll just show up when everything calms down, and we'll just pick up the bodies, and then we'll pretend like we're doing an investigation. And if somebody tells us something, yeah, we might check it out, but then that's the end of that. What we need to do in Jamaica, if we're really serious about fighting crime, and they can't tell me that they don't have any money, because we've seen how much money that they've disbursed to the Ministry of National Security for the past, since 2016. We've seen that. We've seen them come up with a plan called, not a crime plan, it's called a national security plan called Plan Secure Jamaica. We've seen how much of a failure that is. What that tells me is that we don't have leadership. We need to seriously think about getting rid of the leadership that's there right now. I'm talking about the police commissioner, the Minister of National Security. I'm talking about the High Commission. They're devoid of ideas.
That will help with crime fighting?
If you replace them, if you replace them with people who know what they're doing, that will help. If you have people just occupying seats up there, just a warm body, that's not gonna address the crime problem. Because remember now, we know they just did an exposition and tell you how much equipment and resources and training and all that they have. They have the money, they have the resources, they have the personnel, but look at what they're doing, or look at what they're thinking about doing, going to Haiti. Right? They can't deal with the problem in Jamaica. They can't deal with it. Every time something happens like this, they come up with an excuse. They don't come up with a solution. They come up with an excuse. Oh, it's gang violence. Oh, it's domestic violence. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And then the question still remains, what are you doing about it? And so far, they haven't come up with anything. They got what? They got $30 million last year from the vice president of the US. They just got a tidy sum of money as well from the foreign secretary from the UK for what? For vulnerable communities and unattached youths. And then you ask yourself, because that's where they're claiming that most of the crimes are taking place, in the inner cities. And you say, okay, so where is that money? What did it do? How did you spend it? Show us the results. Nothing. Nothing. So they can't tell me they don't have money. They just don't do a big production. So they have resources. So they have money, they have resources, they have personnel. So why do we still have a crime problem in Jamaica the way it is? You will always have a crime problem in Jamaica, just like almost any country. You'll have a crime issue. But how do you contain it to a manageable level? It's at a runaway pace in Jamaica. So the question is not even, you don't even have to get the FBI involved, because the FBI would come in and say, okay, if here's how you protect the crime scene. Here's how you develop sources in the society. Here's how you work in tandem with the prosecutor to secure prosecution. And then you have another problem. You send them to where? To prisons. And the prisons, they are doing what? They're producing more violent criminals. When they come out,
Worse.
so it's a vicious and wicked cycle. And I say it starts with good policing, right? It starts with proactive policing, not reactive. The reactive thing was from the Morant Bay days, right? And it's still a part of the police. It's a great part of the police force right now. I even look at the word force. It's not even a service. Force, right? A lot of countries have changed that word. They've called themselves a police service because you provide a service. You don't provide force. They leave that to the military. So it's very simple for me. It might be complex for other people, but for me, it starts at the top. You get rid of those people. You bring people in who know what they're doing. You bring people in who can implement policies. You bring people who are true leaders. Because everything else that you said, that a few years ago that you said, oh, there are shortcomings. We don't have them. You do have them now. You do have them now. They'll raise the argument like, well, how do I stop a man from killing his wife? Right? Because that's domestic. It happens inside the house. And guess what? There are signs before a man kill his wife. A man will just get up so with nothing at all on his mind and just stab his wife to death. There are signs, right? And if you are on a good intelligence program, these are the things that you would know about. If you are on a good intelligence
program, they would know about that, Ratty. Or they would know about that.
Very simple. I'll give you one example. We have a program in the FBI called the FBI Citizens Academy, right? And what they do is they go out, and I think it's once or twice a year. Every field office is required to have this. And they go out in the community and they bring people in and they have them for about 12 weeks or so. And what they do is they demystify the FBI, because, the FBI is not exactly as it's depicted on screen. So they bring them in, and then they bring in all other managers, every single one of them, and they have to explain their program. They have to answer questions. And what you're actually doing, you're indoctrinating these people. You're removing that barrier. You're making them part of who you are. And you'd be surprised that a lot of things, I can't begin to tell you when I was in Mississippi, how many times people call me and they would say to me, hey, listen, there's a strange person who just moved into the neighborhood. There is this, there's that. The domestic thing, somebody would have called and say, hey, listen, this man I beat his wife and blah, blah, blah. They're having some severe arguments. And either the locals, and that would be a local matter, but we would get that call, right? And at times, we would even go out with the locals to develop this kind of relationship, because you never know because we see every person as a potential source. We see every person as a source of information. And so that's one way that you could do it, but they don't do it. They talk about community policing. How the hell can you have a community policing structure and you have so many things going on in the community, and when they happen, they come as a surprise to the police? How? Again,
I can answer that question.
Go, please.
Because corrupt police officers, people just don't trust them.
And you get corrupt police officers when you have leaders who don't give a damn about corruption, or they don't know how to fight corruption. That's
you heard about those two police officers who robbed the Chinese business people.
Yeah.
And they caught them at the airport.
Yes, I heard about that.
One of those constables were also charged for the death of Kentucky Kid, that reggae artist,
Mm-hmm.
Corrupt. So there's a corruption within the police force, and I'm wondering if that is what is preventing the police from getting on top of these things.
Micah, Listen, that is one that certainly is one of the issues. But I'm telling you, the issue, the main issue is that we don't have effective leadership. If you don't have effective leadership, you can't have an effective service. You cannot. You have people there who they're collecting a paycheck. In fact, this police commissioner is the highest paid commissioner in the history of the JCF.
And you're saying
Huh?
effective leadership would prevent someone from cutting that young miss throat?
No, what I'm saying, effective leadership would help in containing crime. You can't stop every crime, but what we have in Jamaica is a crime spree. It's a crime spree. People just do whatever them feel like. Well, on, you see them pass laws, the Firearms Act, and them come up with Bail Act, and them come up with this, and tell me, do you think that has stopped people from committing crime? No. And by the way, it's full of loopholes still. We don't have time. I can go through and tell you about the loopholes about in those laws, But because it comes back to leadership, and if you don't have good leaders, then you're going to have bad followers. It's that simple. People think it's a free for all, and they can just do whatever they want to do. One of the things that I've noticed with the JCF, somebody have information, a policeman might have information that should go up, and him keep it to himself, and him work with that information. In the FBI, that's the road to death. You have to brief things up. Your superiors must know what's going on, what you're doing, what you're involved in. And part of that is because they have something called a file review every 90 days. So you have to come in and sit down with your supervisor and bring in all of your files. And one of the critical elements, source development. One of the first things they ask, okay, let me see your source files. You better have source files. You better have people telling you what's going on. Because even if you have people on the book saying that these are sources, they're going to open the file and look and say, what information have they provided you? And if they haven't provided you any information, then, dog name your supper. So this is what I'm talking about. You need effective leadership, and you need an effective system. The JCF, by and large, it's still the way it was way back when it was formed after the Morant Bay Rebellion. Right? They've tinkered around the edges, but what they need to do wholesale changes. It's almost like the Constitution. You need to just rip it up and start all over. But people are afraid because one, they don't know what they're doing, and two, they think it's difficult. And it's not. It's only difficult before you start doing it. Once you start doing it and you start seeing the results, you're fine.
Yeah,
Let me hear the others, because I want to say something.
I agree. Oh, sorry. You was going, Patrick?
Yeah. I did want to just add something to what Ratty just said. Ratty, I think you cover a whole lot, but maybe the pace at which you cover it is a pace too fast for us to really digest how much critical points you actually raise. Because one of the most critical points you raise, right, is that the police force in Jamaica, right, the way it was formed and all of that, it was not formed for this time, for what we are facing now and all of that. And it has become more a part of the problem than a part of the solution. That's the one. The other thing is, the main point that you mentioned is the whole matter of responsibility. If you do have responsibility leadership, that spells corruption. And if you do have if you have corruption, you can't expect the top to be corrupt, right, and get good results, right? You can't expect the top to be corrupt and the bottom not corrupt. So it's really something for us to really pause and really examine carefully, because the whole thing about it is whatever problems we face requires our attention. Or we give it that attention is we conduct a study to see exactly what is the cause that brought about the results that we are seeing. Because that's the way the law works. It's cause and effect, right? You can't have poor leadership and get good results, right? And if you have proper leadership, then it means that the leadership is gonna take an organized approach, an approach that is practical, that make it work. The other aspect to what you raised, Ratty, as well, is It's the whole matter of the role that the community plays in policing as well. Because there's no way you can have a successful police force, right, without community cooperation. That is vital. It is vital. So you have raised all the vital points in terms of what is.
Oh,
Well,
Patrick,
let
drop
me say
out.
something there. Well,
Go ahead.
Patrick, you're right. But here's the thing. The idea about trying to get all of this thing done at a breakneck pace, I take a different view, because the things that we're witnessing now aren't things that just happen overnight. They're things that have been there for years. I dare say for decades, right? When you have a police service or force that's not objective, that's not independent, that is a breeding ground for corruption. And I'll give you an example. The current police commissioner was chief of staff, right, of the JDF. He was plucked from that position and inserted into a position called National Security Advisor, right, for the Prime Minister, right? In that position where he served for more than a year, it would have made him the fittest person to lead the JCF. You know why? Because in that position, he was the czar for national security. Because if you notice, they didn't say local security or police work, national security. So they were looking. He was at the 30,000 foot level, looking at immigration issues, customs issues, police issues, soldier, all of these issues, right? And that's why they call it national security. He was looking at all of these issues. And after a year and change, what did they do? They inserted him into the position of police commissioner. No law enforcement experience, right? And then there's a developed relationship between the JCF leadership and whoever the ruling party is, because they put whoever they want in there. And what they really want, meaning the government of the day, any government of the day, what they really want is somebody that they can control. They don't want somebody who is objective, somebody who's independent, somebody who's going to say, hey, you know what, wherever this investigation takes us, that's where we're going. And if it means we have to arrest the prime minister, then that's what we're doing. Can you imagine this police commissioner now saying that, hey, you know what, I think the prime minister is involved in corruption, and therefore I'm going to move against him and I'm going to talk to the DPP about prosecuting. Could you see anything like that happening? Never. Because of one word: control. They want somebody that they can control. And that's why we have the problem that we have, because the police commissioner is not free to do whatever he wants to do, whether by design or circumstances. There is not that person is not free. That person is controlled. And that's why you see all of these things happening, and they have no clue. What are they seized? What is it? A huge amount. No, they didn't seize it. They found a huge amount of cocaine at Boscobel. Where's that investigation? We heard they said that, oh, we have identified people and we're pretty close to arresting them. That was months ago. They caught some Chinese up in Cherry Gardens with a whole bunch of cyber equipment and all skimming devices, all kinds of stuff. Where is that case? They caught some Romanians down in by 3 miles with skimming devices. Where is that case? The plane that landed off of the coast of Jamaica and the people just disappear in thin air. What happened to that case? The girl that the policeman killed, or allegedly killed. What happened to that? And the this goes on and on and on and on and on. Here's another fact. In the federal government of the US, the conviction rate, when the feds bring a case, the conviction rate is 90-something%. In Jamaica, when the DPP brings a case, the conviction rate is less than most of 40% or something like that, I heard, for serious crimes like murder, something like that, right? Part of that is because you don't have the investigator working hand in glove with the prosecutor from the get-go. In the federal system here, You as an informant call and say, hey, you know what? Hey, Mr. B over here is selling drugs, blah, 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 blah. I do my preliminary investigations. You know what's next? You go see a prosecutor and say, listen, this is what I have. What do I need in order to move forward with a successful prosecution? And they start working hand in glove from the beginning. In Jamaica, that's not how it's done. That's what I'm telling you. They're still working. They're still using the model, the model from the 1870s. They're still using that model. They still have the big old book. They said they were moving to digitizing it, but they still have the big old book. Where people sometimes pages rip out. They go to case, they go to court, and what happened? Dockets missing because dockets aren't digitized. Essential documents, evidence missing. So this is what I'm talking about, a police force that is just devoid of anything resembling a 21st century police force.
Let me ask you this. Let me say this. Let me say this. We've been relying on the police to solve crime for a number of years now. They haven't done anything. They fail, in my view. Why not we amend the constitution of the country and give citizens the rights to keep and bear firearms?
Well,
wouldn't that have an effect on the crime level rate? If a man know that behind that door, he doesn't know what is behind that door, and he's coming to kick it down, he's gonna think twice. Why not give citizens the right to keep and bear arms, and also provide them with training to protect their communities?
Hold on a second now. Hold on a second. We just talk about communities below Alpha Tree when they have no resources and them have to go out and commit all kind of crimes to take care of them family. And now we have said, well, you know, maybe we should give everybody the right to carry a gun. The second thing is it open carry or concealed carry? To me, knowing our culture, I think at this point in time, maybe 100 years from now, but at this point in time, considering the economics of Jamaica, considering the political structure in Jamaica, considering everything in Jamaica, I think that would be a recipe for disaster. Yeah, you know what happened? You probably would have, you'd have find bodies all over the place. Bodies all over the place if you start saying, you know what, yeah, you have a right, carry a gun, man, no problem, man. Because if everybody know everybody have a gun, then that would prevent people from committing crime. I think it would be the opposite. They won't even think twice now.
You finished, Mikey?
Go ahead, Wesley.
I have a serious problem with the and I'm going back to the point that Rattigan made about the commission of police. I don't remember if you, and I'm gonna ask 3 questions. Is he an honest person? A person with integrity? Or a person with moral?
Let me just say one thing. I saw a video where he was at a function and they asked him a question: what can citizens
who is the he we're talking about?
The police commissioner.
Commissioner of police.
Yeah, commissioner of police.
Okay.
And they asked him, what can Jamaicans in Jamaica and in the diaspora do to assist with addressing the crime issue? And one of the first things he said was that, well, I'm not here wearing my commissioner's hat. What kind of nonsense is that? If you're a police commissioner, if you're a police commissioner in Jamaica, you're on the job 24/7. There's no rest. Because the next question them should ask him is, what keeps you up at night? And him probably would tell us, no keep me up at night. I'm passionate about them things, yeah. Because Jamaica is awash in crime and we need effective leadership. And when you have a man who's in charge of this, with crime left, right, center, up, top, north, south, everywhere, and him say, oh, I'm not here wearing my commissioner's hat. What kind of that should tell you right away the person we have as the commissioner of police. That should, and then him say something about I'm blessed and this and him said like about 6 or 7 times, right?
So, very good.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah,
do you think we can, with the corrupt political system that we have in this country, in Jamaica, do you think we should expect much more from any commissioner that they appoint, considering that these guys in parliament have to get away with everything that's on the book?
Well, you just
Why would they need an independent thinking commissioner, or a commissioner that is guided by independent legislations?
that's
If the politicians have to get away with every crime under the book, there has never been a politician who has committed a crime in Jamaica that we can say the country has watched the due consequence.
Yeah,
No, there's one.
That happened with Jack Smith. That happened with Jack Smith.
That was Jack Smith one. That
That
was
happened with Jack. No, you say you have never, but we must
okay.
not say that.
One
Because
sen-
if you have one example,
How many
you have
years?
to use that one example.
Okay, all right. How many
Yeah,
years?
so we
has that?
must not say that, because we want our program to be honest and truthful. So when
Yeah.
people listen us, they know we are
Yeah.
speaking the truth.
Yeah.
I
Right?
think the question
And they
we
don't
need
say
to
we
ask-
are one-sided.
Jack Smith had to be the fall guy for somebody.
Yeah, but here's a question I think we
Well,
should
then
ask.
who was a fall guy or somebody he was?
No,
You
I think the
finish?
question
I got time for making time you finish last.
I think the question we should ask though is are we saying that only one politician in the history of Jamaica
Yes.
has ever committed a crime? I think the answer is
Ex-
no. And so the
exactly.
question is,
No.
so wrong to them. Why
Exactly.
are they in prison? Why
Yeah,
are
but
they-
we
Exactly,
must
but-
not say. We must not
but
say
brethren,
there was never.
brethren,
You
brethren.
understand? Because there
I
are many
brethren,
that
I
should
get your
go.
point. I get your
We
point,
must not
Wesley.
say there was never.
I get your
brethren,
point.
I don't-
but
I don't
point-
want-
But last, you know what, last, you're right. You're right. Because, and I go back to the point of control, right? So they're not going to put somebody in there that's going to upset the apple cart. They're not going to do that. And that brings me to this point about a foundation I'm working on right now. And I just want to take a few seconds, Nita, to just talk about it. We realize that civil society in Jamaica and others, they're afraid of they're afraid of accusing politicians of criminal activity and so on and so forth. So what we're doing in the diaspora is that we have formed it already. It's called the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, and the purpose of it is to hold politicians accountable. So, and in briefly, what we're doing, we have three areas. One is lawsuits, whether in Jamaica or overseas. The second one is a public relations campaign. And the third one is to conduct investigations. And I can tell you right now, it's not off the ground yet because we're still waiting to be, we're still waiting for tax exempt status from the IRS. Once we get that, we're going to run. But I can tell you based on my sources, the politicians in Jamaica, they're quaking in their boots right now because for the first time they understand that, wait a minute, them guys are really, really serious because they know they can control people in Jamaica because Jamaican politicians are afraid of two things. One is you take with them visa, and two, they come to America, come serve time because they know that they're not going to serve time in Jamaica. They know that.
Still, I want
the
us
thing
to-
that I was raising, you see, in terms back to the commissioner of police, and I was asking the question if you think he's an honest and ethical person or a person with integrity, and I am saying none of the above. And you know why I say that now? The first time I heard that man spoke, right? The first time. That was when they were having the starting of the gang in Spanish Town, not the one order, but the Klansman gang and roundup. And he was giving a interview, and I heard it on TVJ. I think Diane, to be honest with her, although she don't take up a lot of things sometimes, she raised it with him in one space. He said there was one gang in Jamaica and one gang operating out of Spanish Town. Right? He's coming from the military. Right? He's the advisor to the Prime Minister. and he elevated to be the commissioner of police. And you said there was one gang in Spanish Town. From that time, that man should have been fired.
What I want,
I'm not having integrity. Someone never planned to deal with crime in this country. Because we know that there is two major gang work between Spanish Town and Kingston. And they are splintered groups. And it's one other and Klansman. And you say it was one gang? That man should have been fired from that time. I knew he would be doing a good job as a commissioner of police.
But right? I want to get back to the question I asked though. About arming the Jamaican people, giving the Jamaican people the rights to bear firearms.
No, Mike, I'm not in agreement.
Just a minute. Michael Manley did that in the 70s.
Michael Manley did not do that, Mikey.
Michael Manley started the Home Guard. And a lot of
people, but it wasn't arming the individual Jamaicans.
No, I'm talking about giving citizens the rights to keep and bear arms. You know, in the 70s, Michael Manley started the Home Guard program.
Yeah, but Nita,
citizens were able to get training.
But Nita, Home Guard was an extension of the police. That's what it was. It wasn't just regular people, your neighbors or somebody like for example, like the way they do it in America now, like some states where they say everybody have a right, the Second Amendment. Everybody have a right to bear arms, right? That wasn't the case with Michael Manley. It was to supplement the police force.
And they work under the police force.
Yes, but I'm going further than that because Jamaican people have them back against the wall right now. And you're asking them to continue to rely on the police, corrupt police force to protect them, detect crime and all of that. And it's not going to work. It has proven that the reliance on them is not work.
Let me ask you one quick question.
Benefit.
Well, let me ask you one quick question. There are so many illegal guns in Jamaica, and you pass this law. Everybody have a gun. Who going to check them people now? Everybody have a gun. Who going to check them and say, hey, your gun legal? Who going to check them?
Who going to check them?
Yeah. You pass a law and say every citizen has a right to bear arms, right? And now all the money with illegal guns, now them start walking with them illegal guns. How you going to know who have legal guns from illegal guns? Who going to be responsible for stop and check them?
You can't put mechanism in place to do that.
What mechanism? Tell me.
I'm not sure, but I think you would have, if you're going in that direction, there would have to be some consideration as to the guns out there versus what's happening right now in America. People have illegal guns.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Them still have the rights.
But here's the thing. The thing about it is that if you live in a certain state, you're not worried about illegal guns because you can just go in. In fact, you can even go gun shows and buy a gun. Yeah. So you don't have a problem with that. But in Jamaica, where you have so many illegal guns, and we know this to be a fact, and then you go and say, hey, you know what? Start next year or whatever, everybody, fine, on just walk around with no guns. How you going to know who have an illegal gun? What are you going to do about the illegal gun? Remember now, you have a Firearms Act, How you going to know now who have illegal guns from who don't have illegal guns? And then when a plainclothes policeman now approach somebody and say, hey, and start make checks, and you talk about firefight all over the place, brethren. All over the place you have firefights.
You're talking about anarchy.
Okay. Of course, that is anarchy, Mikey. Mikey, Mikey, I don't think you should think that way. You have to retweet that one, Mikey.
No.
Wesley.
Yes.
Wesley.
Yes, Mikey.
It lasts.
Oh, it's last.
I have a view on this citizens' participation in defending themselves, right? And here's my view. And this is whether or not it is sanctioned by government or security forces. I believe that if the security situation continues along the road that it's going right now, the whole situation going to break down to a point where citizens are going to be forced to defend themselves in their communities, right? You remember the 1980s when a lot of communities were forced to be defending themselves? It is going to happen at some point in time if this present situation continues. And by defending themselves, I mean in communities where people see police force acting like some raiding party coming into them communities when something happen and not caring whether they're law-abiding citizens or criminals, just shooting everybody. People seeing all of that stuff, them go and try to defend themselves against the criminals in them community. And that will mean people through illegal means, right, will be forming groups, right, and resorting to vigilante actions. I see that coming if the present situation continues, because it cannot continue indefinitely that people just sit down in them communities and be
And live in
free,
fear.
But last,
right,
last,
to criminals. I am.
Last,
last.
but just get
Yeah,
Jamaica
yes.
say something
Hold
before
on,
you go on.
let's finish now.
I don't think what you are
Wesley.
saying is right. You know, is the way, because what happened. Because he are old.
Listen,
After correct this notion. Because I am home.
Let me make a
I am
point
in
before.
Jamaica.
Wesley,
Let
let
me
him
make
finish.
this point.
Let's finish.
Let me
Yeah,
let
him
me
finish.
make this point before you continue. Remember, when the communities in the 70s and 80s were defending themselves, right? This wasn't because it was the right way to go legally or otherwise. It was the necessary thing that they had to do. They had no options. And right now, with the disorganization in the police force, right, and the extent to which criminality is expanding in some communities, right, the situation is going to force citizens to,
But
to, to, to take vigilante action, whether it is sanctioned by the government or the security forces. It's just
but I just want to
the
ask you something,
reality
last.
of
I
the
want to ask you
situation.
something. I want to ask you something, last. To ask you to
Yeah, man.
speak to. Let's pause for a moment, right? We're gonna look at what you just said, right? And
Yeah.
I want to ask you this: if we're talking about a situation right now where the community basically is in the middle, right? Because you have fight. I will just call them fighting forces out there, right? Which comprise of random gunman or gang, however we want to label them, on the one hand, and then police on the other hand, right? And then of course the community in the middle, right? Who basically the community comprises of primarily victims, right?
Exactly.
Of this. If you were to take an approach to say, okay, arm the citizens, right? First of all, you're talking about, all citizens have access to firearm. That's my understanding when you say arm the citizens.
No, I'm not saying arm the citizens. That's not my
I said,
position.
give them the right. Give them the
I am
right
saying,
to own firearm.
I am saying, with the present situation, if it continues along the line that it's going, people are going to arm themselves. They are going to find the means. They are going to find the means to try and defend themselves if the police is not defending them.
Okay,
right? And they don't feel that they can get protection from the police, right? That is what I am saying. It is going to lead to.
Okay, I understand.
People resorting to vigilante action on their own to save them communities and to save themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because the way the thing is going right now, there are many communities in Jamaica where the citizens just they're living in fear total fear, and there's like
Fear of
there's
the
no community.
politician and fear of the gunman. You imagine that.
All
Fear of the
right, so I'm
politician
Last,
and fear of the
my
gunman.
yeah, Wesley.
last. You mentioned 1980, 1970, right? But 1980, 1970, there's no parallel between that and now. 1980, 1970,
You mean it's
right? In that
worse?
period
You
when
mean
you
it's
have
worse?
the political war.
No, it's worse.
It
It's
was communities.
Wesley.
Well, yeah, make I make the point last. Make I make the point, and then you can. But it was community against community. For example, one set of community members said they are pink, and one set of community members said they are blue, right? And the blues were fighting against the pink, right? And so it was political. So it was political people. So if I live in a pink community and go down the bottom to the blue community, I would be killed or shot. I couldn't drive through that. We lived through that, right? But today, that is not it. Today, that is not it. You have communities that is living in fear because you have gang members inside of it. Patrick is still living in Jamaica, right?
No, I'm not in Jamaica.
Oh, you're a foreigner. So it's pure foreigner on the program today, right? So that's why
Gentlemen,
I want to caution. That's why I want to caution the thing. I want to
A
caution.
question
Hold
was
on there. I can finish the point. It was political, right? And not criminal as such. You understand? It's two different things. Now we are looking at criminals. At that time, every community a fight, every community, everywhere you go, you block up. The streets block up, barricades all through. You find? No, that is not so. Right? People, the crime is up, but the crime is not like 1970 in terms of the extent of it. Yes, more people may be killing. You kill, more people die. Because 1970 it was 900 and odd people get killed in the 80s, right? In that terrible war. No, for 1 year now we are having 1,000, 1,005, 1,200 depending on stuff. So we are up more than the 90s, but it's not a community thing where the communities at war. It's gang war among gangs and people fighting each other and people trying to what if you and I are brothers and you do somebody something, they would go inside of your home and kill your mother and father and everybody know. 1980, that wouldn't be because it was political war. If you were pink and they come in the space, they kill everybody that is pink. So if you are saying that yes, the crime is up, but the crime is at two different levels. The parallels are different. So you cannot say that because of 1980 that happened and no, you must arm everybody. No. As Rattigan said, if you arm everybody, it would be chaos.
I am not saying harming everybody, all I am showing you is that if the present trend continues, where we have a police force that's not solving the problems of the people, right? We have a government when address those issues, the people are going to be forced to take things in their own hands. How do you?
Can I just say this?
Gentlemen,
Wesley,
gentlemen,
Wesley,
I'm going to
Wesley.
I'm going to
Yes, yeah, Patrick wants to say something.
Yeah, Patrick, hold on a minute. I'm going to open up the phone line. So if people listening, because we have 185 people live just now. So if they want to say something, they can contribute. Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I wanted to say something to both what Last said and what Wesley said, right? Wesley just outlined, well, I understand Last clearly. And Wesley just outlined, what the situation is in terms of looking back and looking at the present situation, right? How the situation has really escalated. But I would want to ask you, Wesley, would you add to that it's not just a gang and gang situation, but it's also a situation where crimes are being committed against the community more than what has been experienced before? That there has been drastic increase in that aspect as well.
No, I'd say it's more gang because at 1980, you just come in a community and you shoot up the community, drive through the community. No, they are targeting people. You are going like that. You say, well, boy, you're going on Marybone Corner and you're going to shoot John Tom and you go for John Tom, but because John Tom is there and you is not in the criminals are not intelligent criminals. And they cannot shoot. What they do is just shoot up everybody there.
Yeah, I understand
right?
that.
But 1980, what was happening? If you were living in Jamaica 1980, you know that. All of us who live in Jamaica 1980 and 1970s know that. The communities, they just come in and shoot up the community, whether pink man go down or yellow man or blue man. So
yeah, it's
different in the crime.
I got that. But that's not what I'm asking you. What I'm asking you is, right, in addition to what you're mentioning there, you say that the community is even more affected, because that is kind of the point that Lass is going to, that in the middle is the community who is also being victimized in the circumstance, because experiencing more violence directed against them who are not even involved in the.
But let me ask this. How the killing of the major and this 80-year-old girl, how does that affect the community, their community?
Yeah.
They're killing.
It affects the community. Look, for example, I have a grandson that was killed. The GSU that was killed on the bus. Right? And the whole Jamaica act up against it. Why he was killed. He had a cell phone and he have a watch. A watch, you know, those big watch that look like $200,000 watch, one of those YouTube watch, right? One of those watch. And he saw the watch and he tried to rob him on the bus. A third farmer JC, and he stabbed him up in the bus and he was killed 5 years, 6 years ago on the bus when the whole society was wild up, right? Good. You have isolated cases of criminal activity, but it concentrated in specific gangs and people, not on the community itself. And that is what I want to make clear. Because when you're outside there and you're talking about
I disagree with you, Wesley.
That is a community situation. And that's all I want to be clear.
I disagree, Wesley. I disagree with you. I disagree with you. There are communities inside of Jamaica right now where it's gang rule, right? There are communities where the gang call the shots. Many communities in Jamaica where the gangs call the shots on a day-to-day basis, right? How do you, in a situation where the police force is failing, and don't show any signs of bringing up them capacity to deal with these issues, how do you get these people out of the communities?
Effective police force, effective community organization to deal with that. But the thing is to arm everybody is not that, because not everybody coming at you. It's not everybody there is firing gunshot at the president. It's target areas. Yes, you may get shot.
Why are you talking about?
Because you are target.
Wesley, I'm not talking
living in Jamaica, so I'm saying what is there.
I'm talking I'm talking about people being forced to take vigilante action.
Yeah, if you force, you do that. You get your one gun.
Because of the
and you do that. And you do what's supposed to do. You get your cutlass and you get your gun and you deal with that if people trouble you coming at you. But if you are saying that the communities is coming under fire and communities targeting and support like 1980, that's not true. And I don't want you people in the diaspora to believe that that is what happened, and we are under siege in Jamaica. Yes, criminal activities is up. Yes, people is more robberies taking place. Yes, it's like when they rob the bank, they bring shock the other day. They didn't matter who they kill. They just come to kill and rob, and then just shoot up everybody, shoot up the place. 7 people died. The next place, 5 people get shot. Right, but in that sense is less
Wesley.
people in terms of individual, yet it affects you as a community. It affects me as Jamaican to know that this is what is happening. But we have to separate the thing and don't put it like a community thing. It's not a community thing.
I don't
Once
think, I
upon
don't,
1980,
We reached-
every
we reached-
community was
just a minute,
in
just a minute,
turmoil.
Wesley, hold up.
Yeah.
I don't think that is what Lass is
We
saying.
reached this point in the argument, Wesley, because we're trying to avoid. We reached this point in the argument because that is what we're trying to avoid while we're talking about some of the things that Radigan is talking about that is missing in the police force, because we don't want it to reach that situation where people feel that the forces that is supposed to defend them is not there and not showing any signs that it will ever have a backbone to be there for them, so and force them to resort to these kind of actions. That is why we reach this point in the conversation, because we're talking about what is lacking in the police force at this time. You understand what I'm saying?
What is lacking? You need a
Because
good commissioner, and you need a new government.
That's one
and
point.
A new
That's
direction.
But listen, but
That's
look
what
at it
is
this way.
lacking. A new government, a new commissioner,
Wesley,
and a new direction.
Wesley, allow him to finish.
We have had many new commissioners, and we have had many changes in government.
But a
And we're still
government
at the
with
situation.
integrity, a government with moral. That's what we need. A
No,
government with moral.
no,
You cannot
no.
have a commissioner that
We
don't have
can't.
no moral authority. You cannot have a prime minister who don't have no moral. You cannot have a health minister who don't have no moral. You cannot have a set of people who run in
It's
the
not
country who don't have no morals. So that means you need a new set of people with morals.
I don't see it from the standpoint
you set up system and people run it. You use decent citizens to run your organization. And if you cannot find them, you import some people. See, like how them import construction work and them import everything else. You import them to set up the systems. See, like how you import system builders
can't be
to
just
build your
about
computer
morals.
systems.
Let me say this.
It can't be just about morals, Wesley. Certain things have to be in place, that certain requirements of our leaders and certain requirements
but
of the
everything gonna
police
go in
commissioner have
tandem.
to be
You're
in
gonna
place.
have the morals, people with morals. You're gonna set the organization as what Vatican was saying. So you have the moral. If you don't have moral people in it, don't care much organization you set. It cannot work. It cannot work, and it will never work. So you have to have people with moral, people who with integrity. Those are the key mark of any society. Integrity people with moral, and people with ethical people, and that's what we're lacking, and that's what we need to put in place to have a good organization, good foundation.
Wesley, you have to
All right,
allow
Wesley.
Lass to finish what he's saying. Each time he's trying to say something, you interject. Let him finish.
Okay,
and
sorry
then,
about that. But I just don't want wait,
just a minute, bro.
Yeah, man.
No. Even if
I'm
he
saying,
says something, let him finish, brother. Let him finish, because we are
okay,
reasoning.
sorry about that.
Yeah, go
sorry
ahead,
about that, Lass.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Wesley, I look at it differently than just morals and all of that stuff. Moral is too airy-fairy for you look to in a commissioner or a prime minister. There have to be specific requirements right, that we hold a commissioner to, specific requirements that we hold a prime minister to, and any leader for that matter. We can't just say, okay, we're looking to somebody with moral and whatever. We have to be something where we say, okay, this is what the commissioner should be doing. And if he doesn't do it, or if he doesn't do a series of the things that we put down that he should do, then remove him. It has nothing to do with whether we think that he's morally a responsible person or morally upstanding or whatever, because we don't know what that is or what it means to different people, right? So it has to be specific requirements, right, that the commission has to live up to, and specific requirements that any leader of the country have to live up to, that whenever they breach those things, we say, time to go.
I somehow I don't understand the fear. I just asking. I'm not saying to anyone or what have you. I'm saying that the Jamaican people should be given the right to keep and bear arms. And I say that because the balance of force in the society, we have to shift that. The weapons are just between the criminals and the police and the people caught in the middle. Okay? We have to empower the Jamaican citizen. We can't this over reliance on the police to deal with crime and all that stuff. It's not working. It's not working.
Michael,
Go ahead, Patrick.
Michael, if I can ask you this, because I'm thinking that I'm understanding where you're coming from, but the way I'm understanding it, I don't think it's quite the framing. What I'll say is that my understanding of where you're coming from is that it's kind of similar to what Lass is saying, right? Which again, from listening, not so much that you're saying things differently. It's more about your understanding of each other seems to be more where the issues are, right? Because and if I can come up with a way of explaining this, right? Because my takeaway is what you're saying, Michael, is that the frustration is at such a level that it requires something new, a new approach, which is gonna mean that the people are involved in taking their own action.
Exactly.
Coming to a solution.
Exactly.
But the way you state it is like the firearm is the answer, and firearm cannot be the answer.
No, I'm not saying firearm is the answer, but what I'm saying is that
and that's why I said that I understand you. It's just that the way you phrase it, right, is where the it can seem as if you're saying something else.
I know if a man know him coming and knocking on your door and there's a gun behind that door, him going to think twice.
I get you
and
fully.
Right now the Jamaican people caught in a situation they can't trust the police because the police them are crook. And
but by the same action. By the same action, who's gonna be the person?
And that's all I'm saying to the panel. We don't reach there yet.
Well, in order to enjoy this new constitution that they talk about, we have to be alive. We have to be alive. You know? Or we might make up one day and there's no one around to enjoy those reforms, because the rate at which things are happening now, it's frightening. It's frightening, bro.
What new constitution? We don't have a new constitution.
Well,
they are working on the constitution. We don't know what will be in it yet because it don't come to the people for debate as yet. It is not going into the communities for the
Yeah,
communities. to
yeah, I
debate.
understand that. I understand that. And
I
that is
understand
where the
Ratigan,
crux of the
I
matter is.
understand Ratigan concern, anarchy, and I understand all of you, but
Mikey, when everybody have gun, and when the thing is so bad
no,
that you need everybody to have a gun,
no,
Mikey.
I'm not talking about everybody. I'm saying everybody has a right to keep and bear firearms in Jamaica.
But that is there, Mikey. Everybody have
and-
a right to have them fireman. If the fireman authority are gonna give you the gun, you can apply for it. It's only if the firearm authority going to give you the gun. So
yeah,
there's
but
no
that decision,
banding that I'm going to
but that
expect
decision rests with the chairman of the firearm council.
But when you
It must be a right.
when you phrase it like that, you leave it open for any and everybody to have a gun. And as
citizens
Will said earlier on, it is only
Jamaican
gonna
citizens should have that right. They should have that
You
right.
have a thing of elimination to Mikey. You know that. You can't just give everybody everything. You have to have elimination
No.
where you apply, and if you're fit and fair, you get it. That is my position on that. You can apply that fit and fair, you can get it. I have to say why you want it, right? Everyone
They are
needs
doing
a gun,
that.
Mikey.
They are doing that just now, but only certain people can get firearms. You have to know the minister.
But, communities, in my position, communities defending themselves don't even mean that everybody have to have a firearm.
No, doesn't mean
Absolutely.
that. But at least you give the citizen the right to defend themselves. Because what's happening right now it's terrible, bro.
In the 80s, most people never have a firearm, and they defended their communities.
Of course,
and they defend the community last. You remember that?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You know, so it's not about
firearm.
But what I'm
the community was coming on the siege.
But gentlemen, we can't negate what Will said earlier, what Ratty said earlier, because the thing about it is, right, it is not just one issue. Right? So if we started off looking at the police force, right, because the police force is the main one who really shoulder that responsibility for stemming the crime. Right? And we're looking at a police force that's riddled with corruption. From top to bottom. Right? And compounded by a government that's also corrupted. Right? So that is where we have to focus first of all. Right? So all that we're discussing in terms of right to bear arms and all of those things is only going to add to the problem right now. Because that is where we have to start.
Good point.
Okay. Mr. Ratigan.
You know,
when you start giving citizens the right to bear arms, they're not going to go through FLA, right? I don't think that's because we already have FLA set up, as Wesley said. So I think what you're saying is that we're just going to give them the unfettered right. Everybody have a right to bear arms. You know what I want to do at that point in time? I just want to be an ammunition dealer. That's all. Because there are plenty of guns in Jamaica. Plenty of guns. But they're going to run out of bullets. And if I'm an astute businessman, that's where I would channel my resources, sell shots. That's all I would do. It can't work, Mikey.
If you want to manipulate it, you feed the crime too, so that you sell more ammunition.
There you go. The idea there is an idea. I think it's Wesley who said that we don't reach that point there yet. You know, it's like maybe 100 years from now. You can say, okay, all right, fine. But right now, at this moment, that idea is not going to work. I'm telling you.
So we can
talk about it. We can talk about it. on a, you know, on a philosophical basis as to whether or not, you know, you should have the right to do this and the right to that. But I'm telling you right now, there's no appetite for that in Jamaica from
Oh well,
politicians.
that's different. That is different. And
Yeah,
then what?
yeah, but
Then what?
we could talk about something we can make up. Well, tell you what, we could talk about something we can actually affect change, because that not gonna happen. That one not gonna happen.
Right.
So, well, we are looking at what Lass is, suggesting. It's vigilante business that will take place.
Right.
Because people tired.
Okay.
People tired,
All right. Can I say this? Here's my whole take on that point.
Can you speak in the mic so I can hear much clearer?
Right? In terms of looking at what we can do to impact change. Right? We have seen where, since we have really this people listening, right, and joining on the conversation, right, but just to where wonderful people are across the board, right? All people are, changes made, right? We still get a feel of what the people feel about police force, about what they feel about the government, and so on. We have to work on that. Getting people to voice them, their more to bring to get elections, whatever it is. Getting rid of the commissioner, completely, right? Restructuring the police force, doing whatever is necessary. Right? It needs action, not firearm, but it needs people action. Activism.
Well, gentlemen, I think we have exhausted this topic. And I'm wondering if you have any other thing you want us to raise. The topic, Wesley, Lass,
Yeah.
Radigan, Patrick. Is there any other thing you want to explore?
No, we think we exhaust the discussion that we said that we would speak on. All right. When we start out earlier, we spoke about the raise increase for the government ministers and private sectors and all that. That don't make a dent. What happened is that the prime minister, the advocate group, demonstrate for 1 month, and they cease their demonstration Friday or Thursday gone. So that is where it is in Jamaica, and that chapter closed, right? The parliamentarian will be keeping their 300 and 200 and different percentage, and the civil servants will still stay with their 20%, right? What this group, what we need to do is look at issues. This one is dead. We will not go anywhere with this one, so I don't think we should continue the salary thing, because it is on deaf ears. The parliamentarian take their money because they want it, right? And if you're going to give a man money who don't have any money, him going to take it. Right? Can buy 2 more bread and them things there. Our discussion wasn't that people should not have taken getting raises, a raised salary, but at least it shouldn't be so much. But it is there. That is what it is done, and that issue we put our input on it, and then that is done. We need to look at different issues that is coming up. The crime thing, I like how we dealt with the crime situation in Jamaica, all of us, and we have our understanding of it. All we need to do is to push for the legislation to change, push for committees to put together, last raise something that in terms of fathers and how we can develop better fathers, right? Better parent, especially fathers, right? If we can set up organization that can build them and people can go to. I remember in the 80s, Michael Manley set up things like social workers, You remember last there was a lot of social
Yeah, man.
workers employed,
Yeah,
and
man.
the social workers usually go around and check the communities, check this, check that, and so forth. So they have something that was the social work, the department at UA, social work, social science
The
department
Department
at
of
UA
Social
was one of the biggest
Department.
departments. Today,
Yeah.
that's not. Right? You hardly have any social workers in the community. Maybe we need to go back there. Maybe we need to ask to push for things like those, to help to develop the things that we spoke about this evening. Right? We spoke about, we have to look at moral in the society, integrity in the society, honesty in the society. And when we build the communities and we build the organization, the people who lead it, those type of people, that is what we must be pushing for, and ensure that the morals and those things stand out.
I'm not sure. I understand what Wesley is saying, because, brethren, the
Yes.
system that we live under is FUCK.
But that don't say
If
it
there's
cannot change, my son.
just submit West, man. If there's not fundamental change in the Jamaican society, we have to have a fundamental change, distribution of power and all of that stuff. It's like we just talking in the wind. The problem is the system that we have in Jamaica, a structure set up and imposed by the Jamaican people. And it's not just now. This is coming from what they call 1655, the British system, and I don't know how more we're going to try and patch it up. I don't know how more we can patch it up, but certainly we have to find a way that empower the Jamaican people. Probably the discussion around the Constitution is what needed. Mobilize the whole country around to get involved. I heard Trevor Monroe make a suggestion about a national mobilization campaign, which I'm in support of. But this over reliance on the police, security force to solve problem of crime in Jamaica, I do not think it's going to work without fundamental change in the society. You observe who is back at Transportation Authority? Former Commissioner of Police, Erlington. He's now setting up the Transportation Authority. You get what I'm saying? All right. So, we have a long road, my brethren. Go ahead, Mr. Rattigan.
Now hearing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the complaints I've heard over the years is that people in the diaspora, they don't understand what's going on in Jamaica, because to some degree you have to live in Jamaica to understand the dynamics. And to some degree, I believe that to be the case. I believe it's true. And there's some listeners, I know them, personal friends of mine, who have said the same thing. They said, listen, you can talk because you don't live in Jamaica, and so you don't understand the intricacies, the nuances you don't understand. Because the newspaper, it doesn't give you all that you need to know to form and to have an informed opinion about what's going on. The traditional media, it doesn't. I have a question for you. Can you tell us one of the most, in your opinion, the most misguided things that we in the diaspora have about Jamaica, since you're living there and we're living here? What just give me two of the most misguided things that you think that, you guys have it wrong, because that's not how it is.
Who are you speaking to?
You Wesley.
Oh, me. I
Yeah.
was not saying you have anything wrong, you know.
No,
I
no,
was
no,
not
no,
saying that.
no,
Hold
Wesley.
on. Make I make it clear.
No,
I
hold on,
was
hold on,
saying
no,
that
hold on, Wesley, hold on. I'm
in
not saying.
or it
Hold on,
sound
Wesley.
so
Hold on,
like it is
hold on,
anarchism
hold
all
on.
over in times,
No,
people
no,
killing,
no, no,
and
no,
that's not
no,
so.
Wesley, hold on. I agree with you, you know, that it's
Yeah.
about, because I lived in Jamaica in the 70s when you had political warfare, when it was Towel against Waterhouse and this, and it
Yeah.
was communities. I understand that. I'm just
Yes.
asking you for our edification because because one of the things you said earlier was that, you know, we live abroad and we don't understand. And I agree with you. So I'm just asking you now, just give me two things just
Yeah,
to educate
all
me.
right, yes, I'm gonna
Just to
answer
educate
that.
me.
But when I raised that point, I was raising it on the whole thing of all the thing was coming across about the crime thing in Jamaica,
Me know that.
right?
Me know
So
that.
I was just trying to clear that up.
I
That
agree with
somebody
you.
else who don't come to Jamaica, who don't just read the newspaper year setting, that
Wesley.
crime is just all over
No,
Jamaica,
Wesley,
which
I
is
agree
not.
with
The
no,
crime is
Wesley.
over Jamaica, but
Wesley.
not at that broad base, right?
Wesley.
The thing I'm gonna answer you, Ratty. I'm gonna answer you. Two things, right? Yes, you want me to do. I want the people who live in there must be involved, like what you are doing, like what Patrick is doing, like what Nita is doing, and what Lass is doing, right? We want base like that. That we can look at the problems, we can make suggestions, and we can force the government or which any organization to push forward certain legislation and changes. I want that pressure point coming from you. That's what you can do, right? I want the people them who live over there, if they not only sending their money to Jamaica, but if them sending money to Jamaica for any development, it must send to Jamaica in terms of an organization that is well managed, well audited, that if you say you're gonna send a money to build 10 brick, the 10 brick build, manage, not government. You understand? All I need is your involvement. Your involvement is true. Your involvement is authentic. Your involvement deal with development.
No, Wesley.
Voilà.
No, I guess I didn't explain myself properly. What I'm asking is because you're there, right? Tell us, because before we can get involved, we have to know what we're getting involved about. So I'm asking you, tell us two, just tell me, give me two things that you could say. Hey guys, listen, here are two things that I think you guys don't really understand what's going on in Jamaica. And let me explain it to you. Like, for example, you explained the community one where you said, hey, listen, you guys don't live here, so don't believe the hype that it's community against community. It's gangs against gangs, and the gangs live in communities. But not everyone in that community has declared war against the neighboring community. And that was great for me to understand. So I'm just asking you to educate me, to just say, give me something that you can say, hey, here is something that you guys overseas, you have it wrong. And you need to rethink your idea about this particular issue, so that if you come and you try to if you come and you try to engage us, whether through dialogue or through assistance or whatever, then you know exactly what the issue is, so that you can channel your energies and your resources to that particular issue.
And as I say, right? As I say, in terms of the things, if you are setting up a fund for example, suppose you are setting up something for the criminal justice system, or for reforming of the prison system, because the prison system is one system that want to reform in a serious way. Good, very serious way. A man go to prison, and when you see the man in prison, him having dance and party at prison. I don't say you can't have dance and party at prison. But what you need to do, you need to can find a way, that a serious educational program inside there, that you can say, all right, we're gonna get teachers inside there, right? We're gonna have, for example, universities or colleges inside the United States, or some part in the diaspora where you can say to the people, so you can say, all right, we want you, we're going to send teachers down here, our money going to spend to help to transform the people who goes to prison. That is one practical way, because the people
But
who
that is
go
happening,
to
Wesley.
prison, they come
Wesley,
back and with the same thing, because
that is
there's
happening.
no real education inside the prison.
Wesley, that is
So
happening.
that's one practical way I can give you now, and I will research it, and next week I can give you more.
The radio station
Right?
at GP, the recording studio, is a result of that initiative that came out of Harvard University. You know, so it is happening. I think the bigger concern is,
You're going in
and
and out,
probably
Michael.
just a minute, man. I think the bigger concern, and that is probably what the foreign minister is saying when she said to Rattigan, you don't have standing or claim, is what role do you know, back home, what role you see for us in the diaspora? Because it seems as if we should make our contribution, but we should not say nothing. Send money, go home.
I never
but
say
we-
that. No, Mikey.
You know,
I have never said that. And I don't think
You're not saying that. Okay.
wasn't coming across from me. I am saying that. I was correcting something. And if you are saying something on the program that is not correct, I'm going to correct us. That is my responsibility and your responsibility. Because we want this program to be true. True program. When somebody listen to us and they go away, they say they hear it from the Sunday Round Table Jamaica. Say the presenters say A, and when the presenters say A, it is true, it is factual. And if you don't have a program that is factual, then you are spreading propaganda. So we have to ensure that if any propaganda spreading, we dismiss it and we deal with it at the same time. All right.
and on that,
As I said, next week I can look at more practical way. We expect you not. There's a thing about voting, and you need to be a part of like a Senate. I believe that if you are being a part of it, you should get a Senate, even a Senate in Jamaica. Be a senator. One of the senators then should be a part of the government. Even one person, a Senate. You understand? Good. So from that standpoint, the other areas where you can be practically involved with, I will research it and I will tell you next week. So this is that, this is that, this is lacking, this is where. I know you people working in different spaces, right? I know you're working, but I am saying from my standpoint, when I look just off the back of my head, out of the back of my head, the prison system is appalling. And when people come out of the prison system, they don't change. So we can look, and I know Rattigan work in the system. He knows things that can set up for us to help to push inside Jamaica, that we can change the people who go in the prison system. That is one.
On that note,
And I say next week I can give you some other things. I can research it and give you practical things.
On that note, I want to thank.
That answer your shirt.
Yeah, man, I look forward to next week.
Eh?
Yeah, man, I look forward to next week.
Yeah, man, next week.
Yeah, because
next week that will be my homework for next week.
Yeah, and it's all about exchange. It's all about exchange. And like I said, I agree with you that there are things going on in Jamaica that we abroad. Well, I can't speak for everybody. I know that there are things going on in Jamaica that I would like to know that I don't know. And sometimes when I speak from an ill-informed position, you know, because you can't. Not everything you read on the newspaper or you read or you see on social media, not everything is correct. But you're there, and so you can correct me and say, "Listen, no, man, that's not how it goes. This is the way it goes." So I'm looking to you for that education.
That's why I spend so much time in terms of dealing with the crime and the
community. Wesley, we have to close out now, Wesley. We have to close out now because
that Mikey don't feel so we just arm everybody.
No, I just no, it's not that, you know, it's that I think we have exhausted the topic, you know, and a very constructive discussion.
Yeah, man. So next week we'll look at it and I will come and tell you A, B, C, D, and this is practical what we think you can do and what you
before you go, Nita, let me ask you a
This is
question.
important. Because you are still Jamaicans.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Before
Right,
we leave, let me ask if the idea is that, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I'm just trying to explore the topic in a comprehensive manner. If the idea is that we're going to arm every Jamaican citizen, what age? What age?
No, I didn't say arming. I said
I give them the right. Give them the right. What age
give
would the
them the
person have
right.
the right? What age?
Give them
From
the
birth?
right.
From birth? From birth?
Well,
Would they
them
have
have
the
the
right?
right.
I think America as a mother, you have to have a certain age to
What
hang
age?
firearm.
No, for what age in Jamaica would you say you have the right to carry a firearm?
Well, you must be over 18.
Why not 17? Is there something magical about 18? Why not 17?
Well, the voting rights.
Yeah, but
when
not everything. Yeah, but not everything is at 18. But I'm talking
Not
about to carry a
everything, but-
firearm. Why is it 18? Why not 17?
Well, I leave that to the officials, the policymakers, them to decide that. But I think, honestly, I really think that, and I see it happening, in terms of my life, when a man know that there's if there's a gun behind that door, him think different. Because listen,
But Nita,
But if I
most of
can
the
just
people
say
we are
something,
killed, most of the
right,
people we are killed people in Jamaica, they're not
Right.
shooting them behind a closed door, They're not shooting them behind a
Out
closed
that
door. They
door.
shoot you, they might face you and shoot you.
Bridget, man, I just wanted to shift the balance. I just want to shift the balance from the criminal them to the people. So people, the military balance in the society tilt towards the resident, citizen. Because where it is right now, the balance is more in the hands of the police, the soldier, and the criminal. That's where it is right now. My thing is just out.
And the police,
how to shift the
Mikey,
balance.
the police have to be the balance. The police have to be the main balance in any society.
That's not true.
The police, you just need to have good police, good people in the police. The police have to be the main balance in any society. All right, so we're going to have like what we have in Rwanda now. Everybody armed and everybody killing people.
That's not
When
true.
you can't find nobody to kill a turn on each other. So we need
No,
the
man,
police
that's
have
not
to be
true.
the balancing force.
That's
and
not
if the
true,
police
man.
is not the balancing force, then that is wrong. You
That's
know
not
that,
true.
Ratty. The police have to be the balancing force.
Well, we disagree. And I want to thank
agree sometimes.
I want to thank everyone for the contribution. I learned some things. Some things said I'm not in agreement with. For example, Jamaica intervention in Haiti. I think we should, because we have a historical ties with the Asian people. It should be a duty on us, the Caribbean people, to go there and help our sister country. Others think different, But
okay, so while we look at that next week,
I think we should. The whole intervention and what have you.
Okay.
So
I'm in agreement with you that we shouldn't send no armed force down there, and I will tell you what we could do. I am in agreement with that.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't send armed force. I am not saying that we should not. I don't
think we should send no armed force down there.
I'm saying, this is what I'm saying, that Jamaica owe it to the Asian people to stand with them in this dark hour. You understand? How it is done, I'm not sure.
Nita,
I'm listening to PG Patterson. Go ahead.
In what context, though? In a CARICOM context, or just by ourselves in a peacekeeping? And in what role? Peacekeeping, law enforcement. What role?
Jamaica has always played a role in Jamaica in Haiti,
Oh, so you want Jamaicans to send outside? But outside of CARICOM, inside of CARICOM, how?
Jamaica has always played as part of CARICOM and outside of CARICOM.
All right.
Jamaica's always play a role in regards to because we have a historical tie with Haiti, you know.
Yeah. But here's the problem. And I agree with Wesley. I'm not for sending anybody over there, because here's why. You're sending them. You first have to define the role. Is it like a peacekeeping mission? Is it law enforcement? Is it rescue mission? What exactly is it? And then the other thing is that if you're sending them there, keep in mind that they're going to they're gonna go there on a terrain that they're not familiar with. They don't know the language. The culture is different, and they're up against well-trained and probably better armed people. So if we start doing that, we should also think about preparing body bags, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well.
First of all, we can't take care of crime in Jamaica, and we are going to talk about we are going to go and hit ourselves for them crime problem.
We are going to send people over there to deal with crime. We can't deal with Jamaica crime. Not go so.
What I'm saying is this. We have a historical tie to Haiti. We agree?
Yes.
Jamaica can play. I'm not saying Jamaica should play a leading role. I'm seeing more a country like Canada that speaks the language. They could lead something as a major power into with support from other Caribbean countries. You understand me? But we have to play a role. And we should.
Michael, research it and discuss it next week.
Here's what happened. We have historical ties to Panama. But when Noriega go on with him nonsense down there, we never did it. We have historical ties to a whole bunch of countries. But not necessarily means that you have to go there. When you look at the situation and you evaluate it and you say, okay, what's our mission? What are we trying to achieve? Right? And then you look at Haiti, and Haiti is a failed state. And you go and take up you can't. It's one thing if you could police Jamaica and you have Jamaica under control and you say, okay, but this just make the problem worse. That you can't even police your country, and you go and send policemen over to another country to go do what? And then you have CARICOM. And the other thing too is this: CARICOM not trust Jamaica, you know. CARICOM not trust Jamaica for several reasons. CARICOM not trust Jamaica, right? And if I were like a Barbados or one of them other countries that CARICOM, I'd say, boy, you know, Jamaica, boy, them guys, I would probably tell you yes, and then them back out at the last minute, you know, or them switch roles with. So we're not gonna get involved with that. So the idea of Jamaica sending policemen and women to Haiti, I think is a very, very bad idea. I think it's one
bad idea. Bad. We can make a look at it, Mikey, make a research it, and we discuss that next week. Next week is a good topic for us to research and look at. And we can deal with it.
Any other comments, feedback before we end this? Nothing? Well, what a wonderful time.
Yeah, man. It was a good discussion. Just go home, go eat the Father's Day dinner and hug up the children, them and the little one, them and the grandchildren. And that. And take care. Last, about 20 years, we don't see.
More than that. Enough more than that.
Wesley, can you allow me to just finish, Wesley? Just please. I want to thank the listeners. We have 174 listeners online. I want to thank you very much. Listen, we're going to do it all over again next Sunday at 4. And we try to make sure that when we say 4, we mean 4 o'clock. Okay? We're going to post this thing shortly for you to review. We'll be posting that YouTube and Facebook. And remember, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about this round table. Just a group of brethren from Jamaica sit down every Sunday and just a reason about issues affecting us and the island. Okay? So until then, much love, brothers and sisters.
Take care, brethren.
Yes, I.
All right, Wes. Last, big up on yourself.